judges are ready, the fighters are ready, the world is ready. Sevilla, make some noise if you are ready!
What a time it is for the middleweight division right now. The number 5, Nassourdine Imavov, fighting the number 2, Israel Adesanya. But this is bigger than rankings. This is the biggest fight of his life. And it is a time where Israel Adesanya wants to prove he is still that guy.
All right, here we go, boys.
Good first round for Israel Adesanya. Talk to me about your thoughts on the fight and how you saw it playing out until the finish.
Thought Izzy looked incredible.
Activity ready from Adesanya. Nice work.
Well defended.
Cheeky trip attempt.
He had his face busted up, he had his leg busted up in that first round.
Lovely uppercuts. Breached the defenses of Adesanya. Tipped his head right back.
Scrap now.
He couldn't have fought a better first round than he did.
Chopping the legs early in round 2.
Stop. Fine. Okay?
Straight back to work. And he follows up. It's a sharp kiss from Nassourdine Imavov. He wins the biggest fight of his life. He topples the former champion.
Israel Adesanya's legacy is cemented. It is cemented in history. It sure sounds right, doesn't it, guys?
And then that was it. The end of the fight. And probably the end of an era. And maybe the end of a career.
Listen, getting caught is getting caught.
I don't think it's for them to know. You have to really be in it to know. It's only a privileged few will ever get to this point and understand. To be able to feel something so great, but also feel something so deep and so, and again, it's a lovely game, but it's a stupid game at the same time.
One shot to kill a legend. That was unbelievable.
Adesanya's not happy though.
I'm still alive.
What a moment in the career.
Kia ora e te iwi, no mai hoki mai ki UFC on Sky, ko Ravinda Hunia tōku ingoa, and joining me in studio, co-host Dan Hooker. Kia ora.
Kia ora, how's it going?
Very well. Well, kind of well.
Well?
We see the poster in the screen. Not the result that we would have wanted after Sunday's UFC Fight Night in Saudi Arabia. I know that this was an early one. You weren't really looking forward to getting up early, but
I actually was up in time.
Okay, very good.
I might say I missed the Road Khan's fight. I had to watch that one back. But we definitely caught this. It's just part and parcel of the sport. He made a mistake. In other sports, the other team scores a goal or gets a try. In our sport, you get knocked out. That's just the sport that we play. But yeah, he was doing incredible leading up to that. Had like a fire camp. I know full well that that's not the last time we're going to see him. Just made a small mistake that he got caught out with. You know, zigged when he should have zagged.
Yeah, yeah. What do you think was the defining moment in that fight in the second round?
Yeah, I'm sure if he wanted my advice, he'd ask me. But yeah, it's, you know, your average Joe thinks that the sky is falling and it's the end of the world. But that's why it's like a funny thing. I don't really comment on like friends' fights or losses, or even my own losses, like straight away. Because the funny thing about it is that, you know, let's say the fight was Sunday in New Zealand. If you comment, then 100% of the people are going to give their input. You know what I mean? If you wait till Monday, it's probably like 80% of people are going to talk about it at the water cooler. If you wait till Thursday, there's probably like 20% of people. You give it a week, and there's probably only the hardcore MMA fans that are even going to care about it. You know what I mean? And they're going to never forget. And people that don't like you will never forget your losses. Trust me.
He's still the legend. He is this person, but you know there've been a few people quick to write him off.
That's my favorite one, bro. That's my favorite one. When you lost and you get the messages, you're still the man, bro. And I'm like, who said I wasn't the man?
I know.
That's my pet peeve. Next time I get whooped, can everyone
Don't do that.
collectively not say you're still the man? That's my.
What do people say? How
some things sometimes they're like there's absolutely nothing to say. Like anyone's an expert because they can walk in it's after and just say you got knocked out. Yeah, fact. Like he can accept this. He's been through losses in the past. He can move past. What do you say? Yeah, people are like, oh, what do you say to him? I sent him a funny meme, and he laughed at it. Like that. But yeah, it's not like my view of Israel Adesanya has changed a single bit. He's still my favorite fighter.
Absolutely. Mine too.
You're still the man, bro.
You're still the legend. You're still a legend. Well, last week, we did say on the show that success for Nassourdine Imavov, your words were, life-changing. Life-changing to even face Israel Adesanya, let alone get the win. He has now rocketed up to second in the division. He's leapfrogged Khamzat Chimaev, who's sitting in third, which says a lot when we look at the stakes of UFC 312 this weekend in Sydney.
They must be wanting to bring another show back to France, I believe.
Interesting.
There must be a middleweight title happening in France later this year, I would say.
Possibly, but let's talk about what this does mean for him, because I mean, flowers where they're due.
I'm just glad we're not talking about the bouncing competition that was.
The bouncing competition? Well, it's like bouncing on a tire, right?
Yeah. These two having a bouncing competition was the funniest.
Imavov. But you know, when we think about that middleweight title fight that's happening this weekend, do you think he would be, after a performance like that, a likely next opponent, or is Khamzat Chimaev still perhaps the favourite?
It just comes down to where in the world. Like, I know no one can like openly come out and say that Khamzat Chimaev can't travel that unrestricted. But yeah, we only really see him fight in the UAE and Saudi Arabia and stuff like that. So, you know, if the middleweight, the UFC has a pretty strict schedule that they keep to. Obviously, if the middleweight titles in Abu Dhabi at the end of the year, we'll probably see Khamzat Chimaev compete for the belt. If it's in America or somewhere like that, then we'll probably see Imavov, the next one on the plate.
Absolutely. So, on that note, let's change our attention now to UFC 312 Sydney. Honestly, I feel like the Israel Adesanya Imavov fight kind of overshadowed, you know, the build-up to 312. But now that this fight is said and done, you can kind of dive in. It kind
of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's this weekend. I only really knew because, Kevin Jusey and Rong Ju, so two of the fighters at City Kickboxing are fighting on the card as well. And people... we watched Israel's fight and then went to the gym and trained. Like all the boys showed up to training and then we're on to the next one. It's it's not the end of the world for us. You get back in the gym and you working out with your brothers and these things fall to the wayside pretty quickly. Yeah. But this has come out of nowhere and this is exciting main event.
Yeah, absolutely. And in Sydney, of all places, and I've even mentioned it to you before, it feels like a little bit weird that we don't have more New Zealand-based fighters on this card. But nonetheless, we do have these two middleweights showing up this weekend, and I had the pleasure of catching up with both the middleweight champion Dricus Du Plessis and Sean Strickland to get their thoughts on the rematch for the middleweight title. Okay, joining us once again on UFC on Sky, current UFC middleweight champion Dricus Du Plessis. Dricus, welcome back to the show. You're looking pretty nice and relaxed there in Sydney at the moment.
No, thank you for having me. Yeah, feeling great. Fight week is here finally. It's been a great camp, been amazing. You know, fight week's always exciting. You know, can't wait to make that weight and get in there and do what I love.
How much work do you have to do when you're making weight?
A lot of work. I think that's the worst part about this whole journey is that making the weight. But it's part of it, and it makes everything else that much sweeter. It keeps you working the whole time. You can never take it for granted because that's something that needs to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've never really thought of it like that before. It's work right up until the day. There's no days off, is there?
Yeah, absolutely.
How has it been being back in Australia? I know the last time you were in Perth, obviously great success in Perth, and now you're in Sydney. How are you finding it so far?
Sydney is beautiful. It's absolutely amazing. I've, the 2 weeks that I've spent here, everybody's been amazing, very welcoming. Like Sydney's going to have to step it up because that Perth crowd was probably one of the most, it was the loudest crowd for me that I've ever experienced for sure.
Absolutely. I remember being there on the ground myself, and the South African wave of fans that took over that weekend as well was very, very impressive. Are you expecting the same this time around?
Yeah, I think there's, in Oz, there's quite a few South Africans. There's a lot of South Africans, especially in Perth. So, it's going to be amazing to see, and it's going to be amazing to see the vibe again. The Aussies always bring it when it comes to the vibe of the arena.
Facing Sean Strickland again, how has it been jumping back into camp and, preparing for a familiar foe?
Yeah, it's interesting because you don't want to go and say, no, this happened the first fight. This is how we do the first fight. Because he knows what I do. I know what he does. So we're both coming in with different strategies. And you can't lean too much on what happened in that first fight. The first fight is in the past, and it's all about a new game plan, new Dricus and new Sean, and seeing who's grown the most. It was a very close fight, and see who's grown the most over the past year.
In that fight, it felt like that was the fight of your life. Obviously, it was for the title, and you came away successful. What did you take away from that fight? Was that your hardest fight, and what did you learn from it?
Not my hardest fight, no. But, going for 5 rounds, my first time ever going 5 rounds. So what I learned from that is that I can push myself to the ultimate, and I can do it for 5 rounds. That was the biggest thing to take away from that, is the fact that I know when it needs to happen, I can go for 5 rounds as hard as I possibly can.
What has changed within you since getting the title to now, do you think?
Within me, not much. I think within me, every time I step in there, I'm not the champion, because the belt is leaving with whoever walks out there as the victor. So within me, my mindset, absolutely nothing. I'm willing to kill and I'm willing to die, and that's every time, and it's been like that since my debut. What I think has changed is the fact that in a year, there's a lot of training happening. Training for high level athletes, training for Sean Strickland, then for Adesanya, again for Strickland, putting in that constant work 3 times in a year span. That adds up, and the accumulation of all those hours of training and training for this high level, getting training partners from all over the world, putting in that work and building from one camp. You're not building one camp, losing everything and building again. Building from one camp to the other, and almost, it's like compound interest. And I think that's the biggest change, is the fact that these 3 back-to-back camps are gonna show come fight night.
Yeah, I do remember you saying in the lead up to Izzy that you don't feel, you were saying the same thing about the belt, same thing about having the championship, is that, I need to go back and I need to fight for it again. Once I walk into the ring, I'm not wearing it. I need to work for it again. So yeah, you really do mean what you say. I see Sean talking about what people say, saying that he felt he had won that fight and all these sorts of things. How much do you leave that in the back of your mind, and does it perhaps give you a little bit of fuel to go, well, I'm going to prove it to you once and for all this time?
Yeah, I think to prove it to him, to prove it to the people that said I lost that fight, no. To prove it to myself, yes. I want to go out there and I want to get that finish. I am really happy that I went that 5-round distance, because it was the first time, and now I know I can do it. And I think there was a lot of critics around my cardio and that, and now they know I can do it. So that was a win in itself. I'm really happy it went down that way. Fighting at the highest level, the finishes don't just come easy. It's not that you're fighting a guy that's not going to come in fit. He's not going to come in ready. Fighting the best of the best. So I know he's coming in as ready as he'll ever be. And the same with me. The margin for error is so small. If we have to go to decision again, may it be an absolute war for the fans and a great fight to watch. But in my mind, I'm going out there to finish this fight and finish it once and for all.
I know you say you walk out there and you're not, with the title and the championship, but do you kind of feel a little sense of responsibility? I know that, you're a very proud South African with a nation that's, behind you and supporting you and things like that. So do you sort of feel like there is a sense of responsibility, though, going in as the champion?
Yeah, there's a sense of responsibility because I'm wearing that flag. Whether I'm the champion or not, I'm representing South Africa on the biggest stage in the world. And yes, that responsibility is there. And that pressure makes me perform even better than I know I can. And I love the responsibility. It is a massive responsibility, but also a very big privilege and honor.
Absolutely love that. Look, I wanted to get your thoughts on Israel Adesanya, Nassourdine Imavov at the weekend. I'm not sure if you were watching it or not. I know the timings in Australia weren't too great to watch it, but what did you think of that result?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see that coming. I know Imavov is an incredibly good fighter. I really have high praise for his striking and his ability in his last couple of fights to implement his game plan. He's done a very, very good job at that. And Izzy was looking good. He was really looking good. I just, this, like I said, at this level, the margin for error is so small, and Imavov did what he had to do, and I'm really happy for him. Right now, the middleweight division is just so exciting right now with all the new prospects coming in. It's almost a change of guard, if you will. And that's incredible to see. And it's exciting times for me as a champion to see how the division is shaking up and getting exciting. And there's some great fights lined up and in the future that I see. So, as far as Izzy goes, don't know what he's going to decide. Either way, the man has had such an incredible career and that he can be proud of. His legacy will always be there, regardless of what he decides to do. And for Imavov, I mean, this is his big break, and here we go.
You have an amazing South African fan base over here. Let me tell you, we're only, 3 hours away? Not that long at all.
Oh, wow.
I'm propping it up. Not far at all, but thank you so much for your time, Dricus. As always, all the very best for this weekend, and here in New Zealand we'll be watching.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, the UFC gave me security, and the guy shaves his legs, so I just feel like I'm being protecting you here, dude. Don't worry, I'm gonna keep it real nice and safe here. All right. Anyways, we're free. We got a signal. I got you now.
2023, you were over there in Sydney, and of course you had success of winning the title, but you also won over the fans. So how does it feel to be back over there?
I will say Australia has some of the greatest people. As an American, we're all kind of mentally ill and f***ed up. And, I do love my fellow Americans, but you come here and everybody's real nice, happy, shave their legs. It's real nice here, So it's just a good place to be. And you have really great fans here and good people here. Mine is the government, a little communist, but we're not going to go there.
Look, how is it? I'm interested to know. I'm sure you've had rematches in the past, but what is it like to be having this rematch against Dricus and preparing for an opponent you've faced before and for a title?
I don't think I've ever fought anybody twice, so this is the first one for me. Oh no, I'm excited. My biggest thing with Dricus, it's just we got some shit to settle. I thought I won. The world thought I won. The cut made shit a little complicated. But me and the Dutchman, we got some shit to settle, and we're gonna settle it.
What was it like after that fight when obviously that decision didn't go your way? How did things kind of change for you? And, how, eager were you to get back into it?
I think the beauty of low self-esteem is you don't really care. It's a belt. It means nothing, look at Izzy. He's the end of an era. He just got knocked out. He's a wrap now. His legacy is done. It's time to move on. I love fighting because it's fun. It's exciting. You get in the cage. You get to try to make a man bleed. You really get to know yourself as a person in the cage. But as far as belts and shit, don't matter. I would fight the Dutchman if it wasn't for a belt. I just want to settle it. we got some shit to figure out.
After that last fight against him, what are the things that you want to change or maybe take a different approach on this time around?
Nothing. I thought it was an easy fight. I got cut, the headbutt, you know, I had like 8 stitches, had to go in the muscle. A big way I fight is with my eyes. And the moment that was gone, I had to adjust. I still thought I won. Dana thought I won. But all in all, I've been working my ass off for the last year. So I'm excited to perform. And I think that I've improved in every aspect of my game.
Are you expecting the same Dricus this time around? And have you seen the same Dricus since you fought him?
Yeah, no, he's always come forward. That man's he fights like he's on the short bus. And I respect him for it. I really do respect him for it. You want to talk about somebody who goes in there with no regard for their safety and just goes full sin? He's the one. And I can't wait, dude. Bring it. Go full short bus on me. Let's get it.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you saw the Israel Robert Whittaker clip where they said Dricus is the ugliest fighter but good at it in the UFC. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, you know, he just he fights with a lot of heart. He could take damage very well. And you got to, as a fighter, I respect him for that. But I'm going to rearrange his face for 25 minutes. So.
Did you have any second thoughts about taking on this fight back in Australia? Because I knew last time you were down there, you were talking about the taxes and how far away it was.
I feel it's real bad. You guys don't have freedom of speech. Seriously. You say gay once and they're going to try to deport my ass. It's real bad here, guys. Real bad. It's wrong, dude. We got to bring some guns and freedom back to the place.
Good Lord. Anywho, what can we expect to see this weekend when you take on Dricus at Kudos Bank Arena?
I'm Dricus and get on a short bus. He's going to come forward like a bull, and I'm going to stick him for 25 minutes. I'm going to try to put him out. That's always the goal. But if he doesn't want to fall down, he doesn't want to die, you just have 25 minutes of pain, my man.
Nice. Well, can't wait to see you back in action, mate, and have a blast there in Australia and enjoy your walk.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Have a great day.
So very contrasting comments from both these gentlemen. Obviously, Sean Strickland very adamant that he didn't lose that fight against Dricus Du Plessis in 2023. Dricus going, look, get over it. I did, and I'm even bigger and better now than I was back then, and you can't beat me. When you look at this matchup, are you expecting a lot of the same of 2023, or?
I'm expecting a faster start to the fight. The first fight was a pretty slow start, but you get that when two high-level guys get in there with each other for the first time, it takes a little bit of time to figure each other out. So there were 2 rounds where they were kind of just figuring each other out. Strickland was able to rack up a few points. He's got a really defensive style, stays behind his jab and that front kick, but his style doesn't really change. He doesn't have too many tools at his disposal. Like, his game doesn't really change depending on who he's fighting.
Yeah.
He goes out there, he stands real tall, he'll jab, even against Alex Pereira, terrible idea, stand real tall, strike of him, uses push kick and stuff like that. He doesn't really tend to use his wrestling offensively or bridge the gap and attack guys too much. Which meant that in the first fight, he was able to get ahead on the scorecards in the first 2 rounds. And then all of a sudden, Dricus made a decision that he wasn't going to lose today.
Yeah.
And he started just getting in Strickland's face, blitzing him, pressing him back, blitzing him with punches, going for takedowns, and started getting like a little bit more offense. I expect that. I feel like at the end of that fight, he kind of figured out a way to attack Sean Strickland. So I'm expecting a faster start than the first fight, because and also Dricus Du Plessis does have more options at his disposal. He can fight from both stances. He switches stance, he kicks, he punches. He's a lot more unpredictable than Sean Strickland. So I'm expecting a faster start, but my pick would tend to lean towards Dricus Du Plessis.
And all the very best to UFC welterweight Kevin Doucet. Of course, he will be featuring this weekend in Sydney, UFC 312, featuring in that main event Dricus Du Plessis, putting his middleweight title on the line against Sean Strickland. Book now at Sky Arena or Sky Sport Now. The prelims are free on Sky Open. Dan Hooker, thank you for joining me. Can't wait to break this one down with you as well next week. And all the best. You could possibly be a dad by the time you come back.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Or not be here.
Or not be here, and you will be obviously forgiven.
Or be asleep.
No, but thank you so much. Whānau, just finally, he mihi whakamutunga mō Aotearoa mō te rā o Waitangi, kia kaha, kia maia, kia manawa nui, hei kōnā mai.